Happy Friday. Hope you're having a great start to the day and had a great week as we get ready to wrap up this week. This week has brought us a lot of sports news in all kinds of different areas that we've been able to cover. We've got a lot to get to today. I'm Chase Robinson. Glad you are hanging out with us here on Southern Sports Now as we come to you live on the East Alabama Now YouTube channel. We are live on the East Alabama Now Facebook page. You can check us out there, like, share, comment, check out at EAN_sports on Twitter, and you can follow the link to watch us there as well. And so all the ways you can watch us live and again, share with your friends, get the word out about Southern Sports Now as we're a few weeks into this fun, and I want you to share it with your friends. Also comment and drop us any questions you have. We'd love to get your interaction through the show as well. The mailbag is coming up today around 10:20. We'll open that thing up, and we've got some good questions today. Made me really think as I was preparing to answer those questions today. So we'll hit the mailbag coming up later on. We'll get to some Braves baseball today. Joe Cox of Saturday Down South will join us as he covers SEC baseball, and there's a lot to talk about on that front because Super Regionals start today. 6 SEC teams playing, so we'll get Joe's thoughts on the matchups we'll be seeing in the Super Regionals. But let's start with our countdown to college football as we continue to count you down every day. 85 days. How about that? 85 days away from the start of week 1 of the college football season. And so we are just 85 days away from college. Let's look at high school. 79 days away from getting the high school football season underway as August 24th is week 0 of the high school football season. So 79 days away, and it's going to fly by as we continue through June and on into July, get into media days for both college and high school. And so exciting times here as we are gearing up for football season. Let's start, though, as we do every day, with our top 5 headlines. Let's see what's on the board today. First up, what a game last night. Braves walk it off in the 10th inning, 13-10. Braves get the win over the Mets. They get the series sweep over their division rivals as well. Great win for the Braves. They had a comeback to do so several times during the game. I thought, well, this is not looking good for the home team, but the Braves came through offensively. If you liked home runs, you liked last night's game for both teams. But the Braves walk away with a win, 13-10, thanks to Ozzie Albies. We'll watch some video from that game coming up a little bit later on. Oklahoma dominating softball. They win their 3rd straight national championship as they get a 3-1 win over Florida State in Game 2 to sweep the series. How about a 53-game win streak now for the Oklahoma Sooners? They're doing something that no one has done before in softball and really in college sports. And I want to give you some numbers later on in the show about what Oklahoma has done and how there's no sign of stopping the Sooners right now. But Oklahoma, 3rd straight national championship. They finished the season 61-1 this year. On the baseball field, NCAA Super Regionals begin today, really in less than an hour, 11 a.m. will be the first games tomorrow, or today and tomorrow. Alabama up at 11 a.m. tomorrow up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, as they take on Wake Forest. But there will be some games today, and again, those begin at 11 as well. We'll talk more with Joe Cox, like I mentioned, coming up at 10:40. He'll join us to talk some college baseball. This is some really good news. Alabama fans love hearing Eli Gold in the booth on Saturdays. There was an article that came out earlier today from BamaOnline.com that Eli Gold is cancer-free and is set to return to the broadcast booth for Alabama football this fall. And everyone knows the voice of Eli Gold and has been in the booth for several decades calling Alabama football. Was unable to do it this year. Chris Stewart did a fantastic job filling in for Eli Gold as he was battling some health issues, and then in December announced that he had cancer. but is great news as he is cancer-free, and it will be great to have Eli Gold back in the broadcast booth. And finally, we talked NIL yesterday from what the coaches and administrators that are in D.C. this week think that there could be changes maybe by the end of the year. They want to get some changes in place by the time of the presidential election. And so they're looking at hopefully by the end of the year, before we really get into election season, having some changes. But again, a lot has to be done in order for that to happen, and I'm not holding my breath that changes are going to be done by the end of the year. I'll put it that way. But that's what they are hoping for as of now, that we will see changes by the end of the year. But again, a lot has to happen, and there's a lot going on in the world besides NIL and college sports that our fine folks up in D.C. need to worry about, and so. I'm not sure this takes complete priority as of right now. But we've got a lot to cover on the show today. I'm excited, again, about our mailbag coming up at 10:20. Got some great questions. Next, though, we're going to talk some Braves baseball and talk some Oklahoma softball because there's a lot to talk about in both of those things. We'll do that as we roll on here on this Friday. Thanks for hanging out with us. More to come in a moment on Southern Sports Now.
Here at Ted's, we are excited to now be offering custom-made cabinets. With that in mind, we're changing our name to Ted's Floors and Beyond. The Beyond is going to encompass everything that we offer in addition to all of your flooring needs.
We've partnered with Welber Cabinet Company, who makes the highest quality cabinets in the industry.
So when you're ready for a complete kitchen or bathroom remodel, shop Ted's.
EAN Sports is proud to bring you the best, most informative local sports content, and we want your help to be able to do that. If you have a story idea, a tip for our sportscast, or even a highlight clip you want to see on EAN Local Sports, send us an email, eansports23@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter @EAN_sports, or you can send it to the EAN News Facebook page. EAN Sports, bringing you the local sports happening in your community.
For metal buildings in Alabama and the Southeast, Waldrop Manufacturing is your one-stop source. A Waldrop metal building provides the coverage and protection your investments need. They specialize in carports, RV covers, portable buildings, and storage buildings. Stop paying rent for storage. With Waldrop's price per foot, you can actually save money by buying straight from the manufacturer. Waldrop buildings are guaranteed because Waldrop manufactures buildings with U.S. steel right here in Calhoun County. Waldrop Manufacturing, serving the entire Southeast. Give them a call today.
If you see some interesting weather phenomenon in your backyard here in East Alabama, send that to us. We would love to hear from you. Send that to us at the email address you see on your screen or through Facebook at EAN News.
Ted's Floors and Beyond brings you this segment of Southern Sports Now. Man, you go to Ted's and you've always been able to get your floors there at Ted's, whether it's hardwood, laminate, carpet, tile, luxury vinyl. They've still got all of your flooring needs, but now they have a partner with Welborn Cabinet. They are able to offer you a complete kitchen or bath makeover. That includes cabinets, countertops, flooring, backsplashes, and tile showers. They offer 0% interest financing for 12 months and free in-home estimates. You can get lifetime warranty on flooring installation. They're locally owned and operated, so go by and see Ted's Floors and Beyond right there off Highway 431 in Anniston. ShopTeds.com online. That's where you need to go for all of your flooring needs. But now, if you need a kitchen or bath makeover, that is the place to go. Check out Ted's Floors and Beyond. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment of Southern Sports Now. Braves last night, just a game, like I mentioned, the headlines. Several times I was thinking, well, you know, I don't know if the offense can put this together. I mean, some strikeouts at random times, some not great hits, and they've had a few home runs, but it's like they couldn't consistently get the hits. But boy, they turned it on and were able to get the 13-10 win in 10 innings, thanks to an Ozzie Albies walk-off home run. And let me just note this. If you didn't get to watch the TV broadcast last night on Bally Sports, that was a treat. You had Brandon Gaulden, the play-by-play guy for the Braves. They moved him out just for last night. And you had Jeff Francoeur, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, and Chipper Jones all in the booth calling the game. And it was 4 former baseball players, 4 Hall of Famers just sitting there talking about the baseball game. And it was really cool to hear their thoughts on this team, on the game, and what a game they had to call. We'll roll some video here of what we saw last night. And it started off really good for Austin Riley as he got the party started for the Braves, hitting it up into the chop house. And again, the offense, able to put it in play, and that was embarrassing for the Mets. You don't see that much in Major League Baseball. I know we all make mistakes, but that's just a textbook. I feel like most high school players around here could have made that. But anyway, Mets still able to get some runs in as well. They hit the ball really good last night. Spencer Strider did not have his best start in his time so far of the season. I think he just went 4 innings. 4 innings. He did have 8 strikeouts in the 4 innings, but he also gave up 8 hits and 8 runs there in the first 4 innings. So Strider was, able to get some strikeouts, but really not hitting his spots like we're used to seeing Spencer Strider do. And neither was Verlander. And that's what helped Spencer Strider not having a terrific start, is Justin Verlander for the Mets didn't have his best start as well. But the offenses for both teams, as you see here, if you liked home runs, then you liked last night's game because they were hitting them all over the yard. And again, some weird plays like that one right there, hitting off the fence, gave some runs there. The original call out, it was a bang play here. They'll review it. We'll see what they call in just a second. But, it was hard to tell if he hit the arm or not right there. But they ended up calling him safe, which means a run for the Mets. But don't worry, Braves had more hits in them there as they send one out of the park there. Another home run for the Braves. Marcell Ozuna coming through for Atlanta. Mets aren't over hitting either. Again, another home run. And for the guys in the booth on Bally who were calling this, the former players, they were loving these home runs. They were having a blast up there calling this game, and rightfully so. It was an offensive firepower game. But guys we haven't seen hit the ball super well. Austin Riley has been kind of inconsistent this year. He hit the ball really well tonight. Rosario hit the ball really well last night. There you see Travis d'Arnaud hit the ball really well last night, hitting one out of the park. And so guys who haven't been as consistent as of late were out there having a blast last night. And how about that right there? What a hit. They were excited for that one. We'll see another shot there. He knew it. When that ball hit the bat, he knew that thing was out of the park. And that'll do it right there as Ozzie Albies walking it off. And the Braves win it 13-10, and they were celebrating in Atlanta last night. And again, that's one of those hits. You knew as soon as it touched the bat that ball was out of the park. And the guys on the broadcast last night caught it. As soon as it hit the bat, they said it's over, ball game, and Braves win it. But some really fun hits last night in the game. Again, if you're a fan of offense, last night's Braves-Mets game was one to watch. Hopefully they can carry that into tonight as they start a series with the Nationals. It's going to be big for the Braves to be able to get some more divisional wins. Braves, of course, sitting atop the NL East. It really helped them with the sweep over the Mets. Mets sitting third, Phillies second, but the Braves extended their lead after the sweep of the Mets. But Washington coming in tonight. Braves without a fifth start in the rotation, so we're looking at a bullpen game here tonight against the Nationals, and then we'll kind of start over the rotation through the weekend. But Braves have the momentum, especially offensively, and Braves looked good last night. I was glad to see the offense clicking and glad to see the guys come out of the bullpen looking good. Tonkin came in. He was back after a lengthy time away from the team. He had a strikeout and gave up 5 hits, though. Chavez came in, got a couple of strikeouts, and Iglesias closed it out with 2 strikeouts as well in the 10th inning. So he shut it down. Then the Braves were able to come back and close it out with a walk-off home run for Ozzie Albies. And so credit Iglesias, too, for not letting the Mets score there in the top of the 10th and giving the Braves a chance to win it. But what a fun game last night for the Atlanta Braves. Want to switch over, talk some softball real quick. I mentioned in the headlines, Oklahoma wins their 3rd straight national title. And we're seeing something here that we have not seen before in the game of softball, and really we don't see this in other sports as well. Just the dominance that Oklahoma is showing. The last 3 years, they are 171-8. They have only lost 8 games in the last 3 years. That's incredible. 61-1 this season with a relatively young team. A lot of these players that were on this national championship team that won last night, they're going to be back next year. And they only lost 1 game. This team is heads above everyone else. We see that. Let's use basketball for example, or football. You see teams who are really good year in and year out, but it's not. They don't win the national championship every year. In football, we've seen Georgia win the last 2. It's really hard to win a 3rd. We'll see if they can do it this year. Not sure if they will. But what Oklahoma has done by winning 3 straight, they have just separated themselves from the rest of college softball. At the point, we always say in football, I'll use football as an example. We say Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and everybody else. They're the only 3 that mean anything. Oklahoma is Oklahoma and everybody else. They don't have anybody really that is up there to even challenge them. Florida State did a great job, especially last night. They really competed hard with them, but Oklahoma is just that much better than really the next best team. They are heads above everyone else, and you don't see that a lot in sports. A team that is just completely dominant over everyone else. That as if they take the field, they're probably going to win. And what we're seeing with 53 straight wins for this Oklahoma softball team, and they're showing no signs of slowing down. I mean, they're getting the best recruits, they're getting the best transfers, they're getting everything they need to continue their dominance. Patty Gasso does a fantastic job of coaching these ladies, and they are just impressive to watch day in and day out, year in and year out. And it wouldn't surprise me. We've seen 3 straight championships. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw 4, 5, 6 straight, because this Oklahoma program is dominant, and they are not slowing down. Again, a relatively young team this year. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they're 62-0 next year and winning another national championship. That's just where we are in softball. Other teams are going to have to try to take them down, but Oklahoma has just gotten themselves heads above everyone else. Softball is a fun sport to watch. It's very fast-paced. I love watching softball, and I think the game is growing. I think people see Oklahoma and see teams like Florida State, and people here in the state of Alabama see Alabama and how good Auburn was this year as well. Softball is a growing sport. It's exciting. It's fun. You got the Vipers, of course, here in Oxford playing this summer, and I think the more dominant Oklahoma is, the more people are going to watch and want to watch and see them play, and see them play at a high level. And so I think part of the reason, or part of the reason softball is growing is because how good Oklahoma is. But obviously people want to see them taken down as well. Like, I think of UConn women's basketball, who had their run of national championships, and now South Carolina women's basketball, who's having their run of championships. But it certainly is wild to see Oklahoma, but softball is a fun sport. It's a growing sport. Go check out the Vipers this summer. Really good college talent on there as well. But congrats to Oklahoma Sooners for pulling out another national championship. We will grab a timeout here. Coming up, we will open up the mailbag, the Southern Sports Now mailbag coming up. So stick around. Southern Sports Now continues in a moment.
Here at Ted's, we are excited to now be offering custom-made cabinets. With that in mind, we're changing our name to Ted's Floors and Beyond. The Beyond is going to encompass everything that we offer in addition to all of your flooring needs.
We've partnered with Welber Cabinet Company, who makes the highest quality cabinets in the industry.
So when you're ready for a complete kitchen or bathroom remodel, shop Ted's.
Since 1993, WM Grocery has been a major part of our local community. WM offers the very best in fresh produce and an outstanding meat department. WM also has many local products not found anywhere else and fresh sushi every day. If you need an event catered, come see Mrs. K at any WM store. Curbside pickup is also available for your online grocery orders. Be sure to download the WM app for all the deals of the week and shopper rewards. Go check them out today at any of their locations.
We take pride in our community and appreciate your business.
For metal buildings in Alabama and the Southeast, Waldrop Manufacturing is your one-stop source. A Waldrop metal building provides the coverage and protection your investments need. They specialize in carports, RV covers, portable buildings, and storage buildings. Stop paying rent for storage. With Waldrop's price per foot, you can actually save money by buying straight from the manufacturer. Waldrop buildings are guaranteed because Waldrop manufactures buildings with U.S. steel right here in Calhoun County. Waldrop Manufacturing, serving the entire Southeast. Give them a call today.
East Alabama Now Local News has been bringing you the best local news coverage for 6 months. And now we're growing.
EAN News will be available to you 5 nights a week with new faces, new content, and coverage that is second to none.
We'll be bringing you the weather that matters to your neighborhood and to you. Rain or shine, you'll be in the know.
Sports always brings communities together, and EAN Sports will have coverage of all of our area events.
East Alabama Now, local news, new faces, same great coverage. Starting 5 days a week, May 1st. EAN Local News, your news on your schedule.
Southern Sports Now mailbag. It's time to open it up here on this Friday. We will do this every Friday, and so during the week, you can go ahead and shoot your questions you'd like answered on Fridays. Here's how to submit that: eansports23@gmail.com. That's how you can do it by email. Maybe you're on Facebook, East Alabama Now Facebook page. You can shoot us a message there or comment on our video. Or on Twitter, send us a direct message at EAN_sports. Those are the ways you can hit us up every week and drop your questions to us as we open up the mailbag. Always enjoy doing this and hearing from you. We have 3 really good questions today. These were well thought out, and appreciate those of you who passed those along to us today. We'll start. Question 1 is from Jackson and Anniston. Will the SEC learn from the Big Ten's scheduling format? This is a really good question. So yesterday, the Big Ten released their schedule for 2024 and beyond for football. And so I think the SEC can learn a lot. So what the Big Ten has done, they have created the Flex Protect Plus plan. Sounds like insurance, but it is not. They were able to save rivalries, but not in the traditional way. So with this Flex Protect Plus plan, some teams have permanent opponents and some don't. For example, Iowa has 3 permanent rivals. Penn State has none. And really because they have, even in years they've been in the conference, they don't really have a rivalry. And so they're not going to force these games, these permanent opponents, on teams who, really don't need them. So they've figured a way as well to have each team play each other home and away every 4 years. And so I think that's going to be pretty intriguing as well. Now, they have a lot of logistics to work through. You got USC and UCLA who are going to be, coming to New York and playing Rutgers. I mean, they're going to be a lot of traveling through there, go through 3 time zones. But the Big Ten has done a good job of figuring out how to make it work. This is a 9-game conference schedule they're working with here, which I think we'll eventually see in the SEC. But the SEC should take notes here. The fact that they've moved to 9 games. I think the SEC will eventually as well. But not every team has to have permanent opponents. That was the SEC's thing with 3 permanent opponents, 6 rotating, and a 9-game schedule. For the teams who have these rivalry games, give them permanent opponents. For Alabama, I'd give them Auburn and Tennessee. For Auburn, I'd give them Alabama and Georgia. Those are games everyone wants to see. So I would keep those. For South Carolina, well, they've got Clemson, an out-of-conference rival. We want to see that game every year. But other than that, let them rotate. Missouri, they don't have a rivalry. Just, don't give them any permanent opponents and let them just rotate around. We'll want to see Texas A&M and Texas. We'll want to see Texas and Oklahoma when they come in. So there's games that we can set, and you have your permanents. But other than that, let's find a way for everyone to play everyone. The Big Ten has found a way that every team, every 4 years, is going to play a home and away. And so, again, like we have not seen Georgia at Texas A&M ever, period. I don't think we've seen Florida and Texas A&M in College Station. There's these games that we have not seen, and it's been 10 years since Texas A&M has been in the conference. And so the SEC needs to find a way to keep rivalries, but also make it interesting football. And I think that's what the Big Ten is doing. The SEC is much better football than the Big Ten, but the SEC needs to follow that model. So I think there is a lot they can learn from the Big Ten scheduling format. To one, not every team needs permanent opponents, and 2, find a way that we get to see every matchup every few years. 3, 4 years at the max, teams should go without playing each other. Now it's like, 6 years, that some teams go without playing other teams. And so I think there's ways they can work around that for sure. So thank you very much for that question for some SEC football. Question number 2 comes from Phil in Oxford. Who is the most important Braves player on the roster right now? This is a tough one. It's hard to pick one player. Also, this, it kind of fluctuates day by day, game by game. But at the moment, especially if you watched last night and saw the offense is not having really issues. So I'm not going to say someone in the batting lineup because they're all playing pretty well right now and pretty consistent. Here's who I say is the most important player on the roster right now for the Atlanta Braves. I've mentioned him a lot lately because I think he's a very key piece. That is Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton, veteran guy, 37 years old, has been in Major League Baseball for a long time now, and he has kind of elevated himself, not because maybe he wanted to, but because he had to, as the ace pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. Max Fried is out. He's the ace. Kyle Wright, he's out. These 2 guys probably won't be back till late in July. So Charlie Morton is having to take on a role that, yes, he is very capable of. Yes, he is a really good pitcher, but he's having to step up and be that veteran leader on the team after having a really not good year last year. We saw him in 21. I mean, if Charlie Morton hadn't been on the mound in 2021, the Braves would have had a tougher road to the World Series. He was a huge part of that. Broke his leg in the World Series. Didn't play great last year, and he's kind of having to rebound from that injury and from the tough year last year while being kind of the anchor of this rotation. He's been the most consistent so far. He's been a guy that the Braves can rely on, but I think he's a big piece moving forward. If he stays healthy, if he keeps being consistent, he has got to hold down that ace position for the Braves, because behind him you have Spencer Strider, who's had some good starts, but not had some good starts. You have Bryce Elder, who's getting more consistent, I think, every time he steps on the mound. Past that, the Braves are really trying to have to work guys in there and throw bullpen games or whatever. So Charlie Morton is the anchor of this rotation. So right now, I would say definitely he is the most important piece of the roster for the Atlanta Braves right now. But great question, and I think that will fluctuate. But right now, the way the offense is playing, they're pretty reliable right now. But Charlie Morton, I think, is a huge piece. He needs to stay healthy and needs to keep doing his thing like he's done for so many years in Major League Baseball. But he's a guy that, the Braves, keep signing him, keep wanting Charlie Morton back because of the way he's been pitching and the way he helped them win that World Series and the way he's continued since then. And he's kept fighting. I mean, again, last year he did not have a great year, but the guy kept pushing, kept going. And I think he knows that he may not have a lot of baseball left, but he's doing great with what he has right now. I like Charlie Morton a lot, but I would say he is the most important player on the Braves roster right now. Great question. Thanks, Phil, from Oxford, for submitting that one. Question 3. This comes to us from Eli from Anniston. Which transfer quarterback will have the biggest impact in the SEC? Also, another really good question. We've seen several transfer quarterbacks come into the conference, come into some of these teams that really needed quarterbacks here in the state of Alabama. Alabama and Auburn both have a transfer quarterback. But the one I think will have the biggest impact in the SEC is from Auburn, and that's Peyton Thorne. Michigan State transfer, coming into Auburn, playing for Hugh Freeze. Let's think back to the last 2-3 years at Auburn, especially the last 2 and especially last year. The quarterback position has been not good at all. Very inconsistent. You really last year you're throwing a guy in there that didn't have a ton of experience, even as a college quarterback. Robbie Ashford, has skill, but he was lacking the experience as a quarterback on the college level. He was a backup, like a 4th string at Oregon. He comes to Auburn. He won the starting job and started quite a few games most of last season. So there hasn't been consistency on that position on the field for Auburn. And for those of you who know football, and even if you don't, you know how important the quarterback position is. Like that's the leader on the field, and Auburn has not had that, and it showed. It showed in their offensive numbers and their scores and their record. It showed that they did not have a leader on the field and consistency in the quarterback position. And so I think this is huge for Hugh Freeze to get Peyton Thorne from Michigan State to come down and be the quarterback at Auburn. I think he fits great with Hugh Freeze and the offense. I think he could be the guy that Auburn's been missing for the past 2-3 years. I think he's got good legs. He's got a good arm. He sees the field really well, just watching some tape of him at Michigan State in the games he's played. And so he's got some talent around him too, I think. That was also an issue. They didn't have a ton at receiver, and so Robbie Ashford had to do a lot himself. TJ Finley had to do a lot himself. Bo Nix had to do a lot himself. But I think if you put the right pieces around Peyton Thorne, I think he can really turn this Auburn program around really quick. They won 5 games last year. I think with a good, consistent quarterback like Peyton Thorne, Auburn could look at winning 7 games, 8 games. I really do. And I think this is huge pickup for Auburn to have Peyton Thorne as their quarterback. And obviously he'll be in competition, for the starting job later this summer as fall camp begins. But I like him, and I think he will have the biggest impact in the SEC. So appreciate the question, Eli from Anniston. Which quarterback will have the biggest impact in the SEC? My answer, Peyton Thorne from Auburn. I think he's going to bring some more consistency to Hugh Freeze and the Tigers. And, Hugh Freeze has done a great job so far recruiting around him. We talked with Jeffrey Lee the other day, recruiting analyst for Auburn. And, he's saying Hugh Freeze is pounding the pavement right now, bringing guys in, getting guys out of the portal. He's got 21 guys out of the transfer portal so far, and so he's able to put some pieces around Peyton Thorne. That's really going to help the Tigers moving forward. So appreciate the questions, and it's always fun, the mailbag. We'll do it every Friday, and so you can get your questions in all throughout the week, all leading up until Friday. Here's the way you can submit them. EANSports23@gmail.com, on Facebook, East Alabama Now Facebook page. Also on Twitter @EAN_sports. So that's how you can get your questions in on the Southern Sports Now mailbag. So we appreciate those of you who dropped us some questions, and we will do this every Friday. But some really good questions today that really got me thinking. And we got a fun college football season up ahead with all these transfer quarterbacks coming in. How about some college baseball? We got a lot of that coming up this weekend. Super regionals, as we will talk with Joe Cox coming up in just a few minutes as he works with Saturday Down South covering the SEC. You got Alabama, you got South Carolina, you got Kentucky, you got Tennessee, and you got LSU and Florida all fighting for a spot in the College World Series next week in Omaha. So you got to get through the Super Regionals to get there, and we'll dive into some of these matchups with Joe Cox of Saturday Down South coming up in just a few minutes here on Southern Sports Now.
Here at Ted's, we are excited to now be offering custom-made cabinets. With that in mind, we're changing our name to Ted's Floors and Beyond. The Beyond is going to encompass everything that we offer in addition to all of your flooring needs.
We've partnered with Welber Cabinet Company, who makes the highest quality cabinets in the industry.
So when you're ready for a complete kitchen or bathroom remodel, shop Ted's.
Since 1993, WM Grocery has been a major part of our local community. WM offers the very best in fresh produce and an outstanding meat department. WM also has many local products not found anywhere else and fresh sushi every day. If you need an event catered, come see Mrs. K at any WM store. Curbside pickup is also available for your online grocery orders. Be sure to download the WM app for all the deals of the week and shopper rewards. Go check them out today at any of their locations.
We take pride in our community and appreciate your business.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brodney Sneed from both CARES and Direct Primary Care. Direct Primary Care is an exciting new model of medical care growing on both the East and West Coast. It's been recommended by Forbes and the American Academy of Family Physicians and others for individuals or small businesses with or without health insurance. The pure simplicity of a membership model streamlines the burden of medical care. It eliminates 60% of the overhead. That streamlining allows providers time to focus on patients with free, no copay, no deductible, unhurried office visits or telehealth visits with minimal waiting room time. It produces same or next day appointments and access by text or telephone during and after hours. It saves you from leaving work, wasting time and getting exposed in a waiting room. And the convenience and cost with barriers removed helps one avoid letting problems like a sore throat turn into an expensive ER or hospital visit for pneumonia. If you're interested, search the web for CARES Direct Primary Care.
We're changing our name to Ted's Floors and Beyond. The Beyond is going to encompass everything that we offer in addition to all of your flooring needs.
We've partnered with Welber Cabinet Company, who makes the highest quality cabinets in the industry.
So when you're ready for a complete kitchen or bathroom remodel, shop Ted's.
Southern Sports Now continues on this Friday. Chase Robinson here with you. And boy, do we have a fun weekend coming up with college baseball. 6 SEC teams playing in the Super Regional round. And we're going to talk some college baseball now as we welcome on our friend Joe Cox, Saturday Down South. Joe, how are you today?
How's it going?
Going well, and it is a fun time of the year as we're seeing who can get to Omaha. Good news is we'll at least have 2 SEC teams, possibly more, but what a great showing we saw last weekend from the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where there are going to be some people who are going to say Arkansas doesn't get through, Vandy doesn't get through, and if you want to see the glass half empty, you can point those things out, but at the same time, to have 6 teams still competing, as you say, you're going to have at least 2 in Omaha. Unfortunately, you can't have more than 4 because 2 of them are going to beat 2 of the other, 4 remaining teams. But the SEC is shaping up the way that I think everybody expected it to.
Let's talk about some of these matchups, and we'll start with the SEC matchups. Florida, South Carolina. Florida has just looked so good all season long. Do you think there's any way South Carolina could pull this one out and move on, or you think the Gators are just that strong this year?
In total honesty, I didn't even pick South Carolina to win their regional, so I'm surprised that they're even here. And they did have a really nice week, but at the same time, South Carolina's a team that finished SEC play in a complete tailspin, and I just don't buy in on them having the firepower to hang with Florida. I love Florida's power, but I also love Florida's pitching. Their starting pitching is as good as anybody's in the country. Bullpen is a little bit of a question mark, but as long as Florida can get out early on teams, that won't matter too much.
Were you surprised any of the way Florida played this past weekend? Obviously, they won the regional. They did lose one game to Texas Tech. Did that surprise you at all?
Not especially. It was a little disappointing in terms of I thought maybe they'd just come out and sweep through the whole thing. But at the same time, what's the telling thing from that? When they play Texas Tech 2 more times, you have to beat them twice since they beat you once. They give up 1 run in 2 games. That will work pretty well.
Yeah, you're right. We're talking SEC baseball with Joe Cox, and I know the other SEC matchup, Kentucky at LSU. LSU is one of those teams we saw at the top for a lot of the season. Kentucky has been on a nice run, though, as well. What do you find intriguing about this matchup?
Well, this is David and Goliath. This is 3-run homers and the best pitcher in the country versus a bunch of pitchers you probably never heard of. And a team that leads the SEC by a mile in sacrifice bunts is up there in stolen bases. They're really good at getting hit by pitch. But Kentucky, they pitch well. They commit the fewest errors in the SEC. The question is just whether Kentucky can force LSU to make enough mistakes to keep close. If they can, I really like their chances. Now, that said, LSU has got some of the most dangerous bats in the country. They'd like nothing more than just go out and put up, the 3, 4, 5 spot in the first couple innings on Kentucky and never let the Wildcats into it. And that's going to be their plan. But I think it's going to be a good series, and I would not be at all surprised if Kentucky pulled the upset.
What do you think happened to LSU again? They one of the top teams in the country. I feel like when they lost that series to Auburn, things just kind of turned around. What do you think the issues were for the Tigers?
Well, they got exposed a little bit in terms of pitching depth, and Paul Skeens makes everybody look good. You throw the guy out there, you're going to get an excellent effort. I mean, he went the distance in their first regional game through, I think, 124 pitches. Nobody throws 124 pitches anymore, but, he's top flight. He's really good, but that's one game. Who's going to win the second game? And that's been the problem for them. Floyd is a guy with a lot of ability, but you might get a good game out of him, you might not. And their depth on the mound has just not been there. Teams have done a good job of working LSU into long games and letting them make some mistakes.
So you're kind of saying the style of Kentucky and the way they play could be kind of the advantage for them in this series?
Exactly. I think they'll work Skeens and whoever else LSU throws. You're going to have a lot of deep pitch counts. Probably a lot of walks, a lot of hit and runs, a lot of stolen bases. Kentucky wants to kind of cut him to death with 1,000 nicks, and LSU wants to just come in with a machete and saw right through Kentucky. Now, we'll see what happens.
And a couple of games outside of the outside of 2 SEC teams. We'll get to Alabama in a second because I want to spend more time on them. But Tennessee at Southern Miss. Of course, we saw just a battle with Tennessee in Clemson last weekend. Tennessee able to make it out of that regional, but they've got Southern Miss. What do you find interesting about this matchup in the Supers?
So what I love about this is we had this whole controversy. Who's going to host the Super Regional? Because both Tennessee and Southern Miss were 2 seeds. Okay, so there's no obvious answer. Well, of course, then Tennessee said, well, our RPI is this. We beat this many teams in the top 25. And yet the NCAA said, sorry, you're going to Hattiesburg. Now, normally that would say death to Tennessee for me because they've been pretty terrible on the road this year. But as you mentioned, just took it to Clemson last week. Just the chip on the shoulder aspect really gave me the confidence to say, I'm going to pick the Vols because they've been up and down all year. Wasn't real sure which way I was leaning on this, but I love the disrespect angle. So I think Tennessee is going to go into Hattiesburg mad as a hornet with something to prove, and I think they'll ultimately do that. And I think it's going to be some great baseball. I think we could have some 10-9, 11-10 kind of games in that one.
Talk about just what impresses you about this Tennessee team, especially the way they played last weekend and like you mentioned, the amount of runs they're able to score.
The talent has always been there. The bats, a lot of these guys played lesser roles or came off the bench a year ago, but the talent has been there, and they were doing the things you got to do late in the season at the plate. They were disciplined. They were working deep counts. They were taking a walk when it helped them. But they still got that power. They still can just turn on a pitch and hit it 420 feet. I think once they've stopped trying to do that every time, the end result has been a little bit better for them. So they definitely hit the Super Regionals on an uptick that I didn't really see coming.
And the final matchup involving an SEC team, Alabama makes the trip up to Winston-Salem, taking on the #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. That is Wake Forest. Alabama, of course, has been on their kind of storybook run the latter part of this season. What is the Tide up against in Wake Forest?
I mean, this is probably the best all-around team in college baseball. They didn't get that #1 overall seed for nothing. That said, this really doesn't shape up as a bad matchup for Alabama. You do have, this sort of what would be the next chapter in this storybook last 6 weeks or so. It's you play the best team in the country, and I think Alabama's going to give them a run for their money. I can't quite bring myself to pick the Tide to take Wake Forest just because Wake Forest is so well-rounded. But I think Alabama will take it 3 games. I think they're going to make this difficult for Wake Forest. And I think they're going to expose some things in Wake Forest that maybe some of their SEC brethren down the line can capitalize on a little bit more. I love Alabama's pitching. I love the way they've thrown the ball the last month, the last 6 weeks. And I really think they can make Wake uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, Wake's pitching is so good, and they have so many good bats. It's going to be hard to keep them down, enough to win 2 games.
Do you see this being, though, Alabama just not a lot to lose? Wake Forest, they're the #1 team. They got a little more pressure. You think that could play in favor of Alabama? Maybe I think of Notre Dame, Tennessee last year and how that played out with Notre Dame just coming in loose and no pressure. Do you see that maybe helping Alabama just being able to come in, nothing to lose? You're really not even supposed to be here.
Yeah, it definitely helps them. And if you can get it to that game 3, it's in the back of every player at Wake Forest's minds. I mean, you got to remember, the #1 overall seed hasn't won the College World Series in this century. And there's a reason that happens. It's easy to come in hot, but it paints a big old target on your back. And Wake's got that target right now. Again, I can't quite pull the trigger on picking the Tide, but I think it's going to be an excellent series. I think a lot of people are going to come out of that series from the Wake Forest program going, just got through that one.
We're talking college baseball with Joe Cox of Saturday Down South. And, Joe, I know, like we said, we'll at least have 2 teams in the College World Series. Do you see an SEC team being able to power through Omaha and maybe bring home a national championship?
Before it started, I said I liked Florida, and I still like Florida. In any given series right now, anything could happen, but that would be the one that I've still kind of mentally got circled. I just think the combination of the pitching and the power could be enough to put everybody else away.
When you look at the field from top to bottom, the SEC teams, and then add in Southern Miss and Wake Forest, is this kind of the field you expected and the amount of teams and talent? Is this what you expected to see at this point of the season, or are there some teams maybe you thought, well, I sure thought they would be in the Super Regionals and make a run to Omaha?
Well, I mean, you got to say, Alabama, before Brad Bohannon gets fired, they're kind of hanging on the bubble. I did not think we'd see Alabama here. Now, Alabama's here, but Arkansas isn't. But Vandy isn't. Vandy really kind of a surprise to me to lay an egg like that at home. But, it's short series baseball. There's just enough uncertainty to make it fun. But at the same time, you got to win, too. So, it's hard to say a team beat us twice and they weren't the better team. But that's where we're at now. You could see it that way, but I think the SEC has to be pleased with the way they've shown out so far.
Certainly so, and hopefully we'll see some SEC talent up in Omaha soon. Joe Cox of Saturday Down South. Joe, really appreciate you taking some time with us, talking some SEC baseball, and again, hopefully we'll have several teams up in Omaha for the College World Series. But thanks so much for talking with us today.
Thank you. Always enjoy it.
Joe Cox of Saturday Down South. Appreciate him taking time with us here on Southern Sports Now. We'll grab a break. We'll come back, roll into our final segment of the day next here on Southern Sports Now.
Here at Ted's, we are excited to now be offering custom-made cabinets. With that in mind, we're changing our name to Ted's Floors and Beyond. The Beyond is going to encompass everything that we offer in addition to all of your flooring needs.
We've partnered with Welberg Cabinet Company, who makes the highest quality cabinets in the industry.
So when you're ready for a complete kitchen or bathroom remodel, shop Ted's.
Since 1993, WM Grocery has been a major part of our local community. WM offers the very best in fresh produce and an outstanding meat department. WM also has many local products not found anywhere else and fresh sushi every day. If you need an event catered, come see Mrs. K at any WM store. Curbside pickup is also available for your online grocery orders. Be sure to download the WM app for all the deals of the week and shopper rewards. Go check them out today at any of their locations.
We take pride in our community and appreciate your business.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brodney Sneed from both CARES and Direct Primary Care. Direct Primary Care is an exciting new model of medical care growing on both the East and West Coast. It's been recommended by Forbes and the American Academy of Family Physicians and others for individuals or small businesses with or without health insurance. The pure simplicity of a membership model streamlines the burden of medical care. It eliminates 60% of the overhead. That streamlining allows providers time to focus on patients with free, no copay, no deductible, unhurried office visits or telehealth visits with minimal waiting room time. It produces same or next day appointments and access by text or telephone during and after hours. It saves you from leaving work, wasting time and getting exposed in a waiting room, and the convenience and cost with barriers removed helps one avoid letting problems like a sore throat turn into an expensive ER or hospital visit for pneumonia. If you're interested, search the web for CARES Direct Primary Care.
Southern Sports Now continues on this Friday. Chase Robinson here with you. Glad you're hanging out with us. And whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, wherever it is, we appreciate you for watching. You can drop us a comment there, share it with your friends. I would love for you to join us live each and every day, of course, from 10 to 11 a.m. But if you missed part of the show, maybe want to go back and catch it, you can watch it on the archive there on Facebook and YouTube as well. Check out what you missed, but be sure to join us live each weekday from 10 to 11 a.m. Big weekend. We've been talking specifically the SEC when it comes to the college baseball super regionals. But I want to give you a rundown of the games that are not in the SEC that we will be seeing. Duke at Virginia is coming up here in just 6 minutes at 11 o'clock on ESPN. You can see Duke at Virginia battling it out in the Super Regionals. And then tonight at 4 o'clock, or this afternoon at 4, is Indiana State at TCU. TCU, the team that put out Arkansas. And so they will do battle this afternoon. You'll see South Carolina and Florida tonight on ESPN2 at 5 o'clock. And then late tonight, because they are playing out on the west coast at Oregon, you'll see Oral Roberts at Oregon tonight on ESPNU. So those are the games that are taking place today in the Super Regionals. And then, of course, tomorrow, Alabama will get things started against Wake Forest at 11 a.m. on ESPN. You can check out the Tide and the Demon Deacons. And then also tomorrow on ESPNU at 2 o'clock, Tennessee at Southern Miss series. You'll see the other SEC matchup at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on ESPN2. As Kentucky travels to LSU tomorrow. And then the nightcap should be really good baseball as well. 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on ESPN2 will be Texas. They make the trip over to Stanford to take on the Cardinals. And so some really good baseball coming up in the Super Regionals, but those are all of the games. We've been talking a lot about the SEC teams, but certainly some non-SEC teams will be vying for a trip to Omaha as well. But it all gets started this morning at 11 a.m. with Duke at Virginia on ESPN. But we'll be all eyes here in the state of Alabama. We'll be on the Tide tomorrow at 11 a.m. taking on Wake Forest. You heard Joe say it. Wake Forest is strong. They're good. But Alabama going in, nothing to lose. We'll see what the Tide can do. Best of 3 series. And Joe thinks they'll take it to 3 games. I think they can take it to 3 games for sure. But that will be fun to watch this weekend. Also this weekend, NBA fans, you'll have a chance to see the NBA Finals as Heat and Nuggets going at it in the NBA Finals. Best of 7 series there in that one. And so they will be going into Game 4 this weekend. And or check that tonight, actually, at 7:30. And they'll be back in action on Sunday as well. So they're every other day here in the NBA Finals. But Game 4, Denver up 2-1 over the Heat. We'll see what Miami can do tonight. And then turn around, I believe they'll be in Denver on Sunday night there in the NBA Finals. You can check that out. Of course, the Braves National Series this weekend as well. There's a lot going on in sports across the country. And of course, right here in our backyard as well, a lot going on. The Vipers are getting set to get going in a couple of weeks. They're practicing. Awards being handed out all over the place in high school sports. So we'll have you covered next week with a lot of that kind of stuff. Next Saturday night, the Calhoun County Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So we'll get you ready for that next week as well. So a lot going on in sports, and we got you covered here on Southern Sports Now. That's all the time we have for you today. Enjoyed it this week. Hang out with us again next week, each weekday from 10 to 11 a.m. Hope you have a great rest of your Friday. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday for more Southern Sports Now. See y'all.